Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for an informational webinar where we'll be discussing some of the details around reporting as related to the scoping and technical assistant grants for this year's Frankenthaler Climate Initiative. I'm your host today, James Merle-Thomas. I'm the Deputy Director here at the Frankenthaler Foundation. I'm joined by a team of colleagues who are going to walk us through some of these details today. They include Robert Benson, who's reporting live from an adjacent studio here at the Frankenthaler Foundation headquarters in New York City. And we're also joined by our very talented teammates, Sarah Sutton, Stephanie Shapiro, and Danielle Sikowski, all of environmental partners, who are going to be joining us to walk through some of these details today. I don't need to spend very much time talking about the FCI, as you are all very much immersed in it, but I just wanted to note that, we view our work with all of you as a kind of partnership that focuses on questions around, limiting and reducing the environmental impact of things like fossil fuels. And really what today's webinar is about is providing a very clear kind of no-frills on-ramp for issues that will help you to do all the reporting that goes along with the work on reduction of energy use and generating clean energy solutions. So I think we have one slide that introduces the team a little more properly. I apologize for jumping around like that. So just to give you a sense of the org chart, and which will help us kind of organize today. So I work along with the leadership team here at the Frankenthaler Foundation. And we're largely, responsible for shaping the overall direction of the climate initiative and thinking about different ways we're moving in each year. And we're joined by two other organizations who help to facilitate this with, considerable technical expertise and understanding how this impacts different aspects of the sector. As I mentioned, we're joined by Sarah Sutton, Stephanie Shapiro, and Danielle Sikowski from Environment and Culture Partners. And also joining us on this broader team are the folks at RMI, including Victor Ogle and Madeline Weir. And we'll get into some of that org chart in just a minute. But what I want to do is turn things over to Stephanie in a minute, but I just want to foreground that, today is really about providing that kind of on-ramp to the overall impact of the initiative. So we'll be thinking about the overall timeline of what this year looks like. We'll be thinking about the reporting goals and milestones that you're going to want to be tracking throughout this. And a lot of that will encompass the ways that something like the reporting for Energy Star happens. And I think above all, what we want to emphasize is clarity around how communication and reporting and things work. So a lot of this today will be about discussing the ways that activity and reporting can happen through the flux system, but then communication can happen through a different channel. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Stephanie, who can really kick us off with some of these technical details. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Again, just want to echo, Jim, we're really excited to have everyone here. I'm going to start out with kind of our high-level process overview for reporting, and then Danielle is going to take us through a little bit more of an in-depth view of using Energy Star Portfolio Manager. We will have a Q&A section or opportunity after each section, but feel free to also use the chat. We'll use that for going forward. So just to start us off, let's see here, there we are. So everyone has received to date the grant agreement. We would love to have this back to you within 30 days. You're able to sign it via DocuSign. Robert, big thank you, is going to be coordinating our grant agreements and the payments. If you do need it reassigned, please just email us. We will make sure that happens. And if you have any questions about that, please just let us know. Next, we have the disbursement of funds. So the funds will be dispersed for grants that are less than $50,000 within, at least hopefully 5 business days right after we receive that countersigned grant agreement. For grants that are $50,000 and above, we will disperse the funds once we receive both the signed grant agreement and an approved baseline report. So we're going to go through in a little bit what the requirements are for the baseline report, which is required for everyone, but it is required to receive funding for those receiving $50,000 and above. Mid to late summer, we will have our public announcement. We will be sending you a media kit, information, contact information as well to our communication folks, the Resnicow team. They are going to be leading that charge, so we will be receiving support so you can, you can communicate in your organizations as well when this goes out publicly. And then ultimately, your baseline reports are due August 31st. We love them beforehand. We will be reviewing them, approving them, and also here to help. So just wanted to let everyone know that their baseline report is due by the end of the summer. And then overall timeline, you'll be completing your project. A lot of your projects span from maybe a 1 to 2 month window to a few years. So completing your project, and we'll get into the reporting requirements that go along with that, but submitting those requirements as well. So this is the life cycle as a grantee. So I'm going to just move into reporting. So just to echo again what Jim said, our goal of this is to really enforce and establish energy monitoring, even if your award cannot yet be tracked and is reducing use and emissions. So for all of you, I know this is technical assistance, this is scoping grants, this is not implementation, but we want this to become routine for you and to instill that ability to track and monitor your energy use so that you can make strategic energy management decisions, save money, reduce your emissions and energy use. So all grants require 4 reports. This is a baseline, project completion, 12-month post-project end date, and 24-month post-project end date. So there's 4 components that make up these 4 reports. So there's climate impact goals, if they're applicable. If you have them, you may not have them, and that's fine. Narrative, an Energy Star portfolio manager report and the data that's associated with it, and supporting documents. So I just want to focus right now on the baseline report. So that because this is first, so this is for new building construction, not attached to an existing building. We're asking you to provide a design performance estimate. So this is something you can probably get from your designers, architects, etc. We are going to be focusing on 2 pieces of data: site energy unit intensity, which is EUI, and greenhouse gas emissions. Site energy unit intensity it represents a building's energy use as a function of its size and other particular characteristics. So for those new buildings and not attached to an existing building, we're looking for that design performance estimate. And then for existing buildings, which is the majority of grantees, we're asking you to submit an Energy Star portfolio manager progress and goals report using 2022 calendar year energy data. We'll again get into how this report is generated and what you need to generate this, but we are looking for the report as well as the data points, the EUI and greenhouse gas emissions data points. And all of the reporting for Energy Star Portfolio Manager, that tool is free, which we will be emphasizing. So this is an energy management tool provided by EPA, and we're looking to make sure that we're providing free resources, but also that we're using them. So again, just to reiterate the timeline, so we're looking to work with you to create that baseline report throughout the summer. We know that it takes some time to collect the data. We're here to be a resource for that again. That project completion report comes at the end of your project, whenever that may be. All of the reports have a 3-month grace period. So when your project ends, you have 3 months to write the narrative, collate the data, etc. Do let us know if you need additional time. We want to work with you. We know that sometimes certain times of the year are very busy. So if your due date is the middle of December, we're happy to move that to January, but trying to make sure that we at least have some guideposts for what those reports look like. Again, the 12-month project end date report reflects the 12 months after your project completion, and the 24-month post-project end date is the 13 to 24-month period after your project. This is what the interface in the Flux portal looks like for reports. So this is the same interface that you used for submitting your application. There is a report section over here. This is where your reports will show up, edited, and submitted. This is just an example of the baseline report. So these are some of the fields that you would fill in. There's a document section for attaching those Energy Star portfolio manager reports and narrative reports as well, if that's simpler to use than the narrative field. And then upon submission, we will review it with our team. We really love actually reviewing reports. We love seeing the progress that all of the organizations are making and seeing where you're starting out. So this is not just a check the box exercise for us. So please, again, we're excited about all of you having these projects and doing this great work. And then finally, we want to just communicate to you when to communicate to us. And it's anytime. It's anytime you have a question. It's anytime that you have an update, whether it's your team, maybe you have a project delay, maybe you received matching funds from the city or your organization to do more work. We want to hear from you. We want to hear the successes. If there's a video made about your project, please share it with us. We're looking to create a community of our Frankenthaler Climate Initiative recipients, and so please reach out. We are here as a resource and support. And so before I hand it over to Danielle, I wanted to see if there are any specific questions. I'm happy to go back to any slides. Again, these slides and the presentation will be available on the website this week. And feel free to use the chat. Any questions? I'll just wait another minute. Okay, I'm going to hand it over. Oh, you're new to ESPM. So let's answer your question, Alex, about the data from 2022. That is going to be answered in Danielle's presentation. And Kristen, no, there's not a particular format for the narrative. We do have some prompts for the information we're looking for, which is, progress to date for timeline, lessons learned, any additional funds maybe, or work that has been catalyzed for your organization. So those are reflected in the report in Flux, in the Flux grant portal. But no, you can use the free text box or provide, a Word or PDF document. Great, I'm going to hand it over to Danielle.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you all for attending today, and congratulations again on your awards. As Stephanie said, I'm going to give you an overview of Energy Star Portfolio Manager. You'll also hear me refer to that as just Energy Star or ESPM. And this is to help you get started with reporting, especially for your baseline report, which is the first of those 4 required reports. And as a reminder, you will be using Energy Star for not just your baseline report, but your 12 and 24-month reports as well. And just briefly, I want to recognize a colleague that's not here today, Misha Egolf. She helped me learn about Energy Star, and she also presents in the complimentary video that we have on the website about Energy Star, which I encourage you to check out when you get started, since it goes a lot more in depth than we will be today. So these are the steps we'll be talking about, and just give you a really high-level view of what this whole process looks like. So starting with step 1, we'll be creating your free Energy Star account. Step 2 is collecting your organization's energy and property data, because it's going to be really helpful to be prepared when you really get into this. Step 3 is entering that data into Energy Star. And then step 4 is running the Energy Star progress and goals report to get those EUI and GHG emissions values that Stephanie mentioned previously. And then the last step, of course, is entering and submitting that data into the FCI grants portal Flux. Now you've already had a visual for what this looks like. So we're really just going to be focusing on these first 4 steps. So if your organization does not already use Energy Star, you can create a free account using the link that's here on the slide. This step is really easy. It asks standard questions like, your organization name, address, and the best contact person. There is a question about the primary business. So if you're a school, the clear option will be education. But if you're a museum, you're going to select entertainment/recreation. And then later on, you can get a little more specific. So once you get your Energy Star account set up and have that ready, a good next step again is to collect all your organization's property and energy data. For property data, you'll want the year your building was built, the gross floor area or square footage, and then some idea about the occupancy. And we'll get more into that when we talk about entering your data in the next couple slides. I really just want to introduce those terms to you. For energy data, the baseline report you're going to submit, as Stephanie said again, is January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022, which is 12 months of energy data or energy bills. Energy Star will not give you any annual totals unless you input at least 12 months of continuous energy data, so there can't be any gaps. Of course, your energy bills will likely not fit perfectly into those dates, so if that means you're starting with a bill that's from December 23rd, 2021, or ending with one that ends January 3rd, 2023, that's perfectly fine. That's still going to give you the numbers that you need for reporting. If you don't know where to locate your organization's energy bills, there's a few places to check. You may want to start with your facilities team or your financial department, or if you're a smaller organization, that person might be your executive director or board president. I worked at a small museum, and that was who was in charge of those bills. Of course, you can also reach out to your utility if, say you're missing some data. For organizations that have a parent organization, say you're a museum on a university campus, if you find that you don't have that kind of information, there's a chance those bills or specific energy information may be with the parent, so it'd be good to check there. Now, even though your baseline reports aren't due until August 31st, generally this step can take some time, so it's good to get started early or as soon as possible. So the next step is entering that data into Energy Star. As you can see in the screenshot on the left, when you're in your Energy Star account, under the My Portfolio tab, you'll start by adding a property. From there, it's going to ask you a few questions. For property type, there's an option for museums, which is shown here, but there's also an option for colleges and universities. Then you'll add the number of buildings. Here I've selected 1. And construction status, whether that's an existing building or a design project, though I believe that most of you are going to be choosing an existing building. So once you're done filling that out, in the next slide, this will be the next screen you'll see, where you'll be adding additional property information, and you'll only need to fill out the required sections here that are marked with the red asterisks. So that's the name, address, and then those 3 data pieces we talked about previously, which is the year built, the gross floor area, this is the square footage of your building. Now the photo here is guidance from Energy Star on what to include or not include in your GFA. For example, spaces that you wouldn't add would be things that don't add to your energy consumption, like a balcony or a covered walkway. Those would not be included in your GFA. For occupancy, that is the percentage of your property's gross floor area that's occupied and operational on average over a year. So if you were open regularly over a year, your occupancy would likely be 80 to 100%. And this can totally be an estimate. It's not going to play a large role in the overall numbers. So just do your best, no worries. So the next piece of this is entering your energy data, which is starting with setting up a meter. As you can see in the screenshot on the left, you can add your energy types or sources and the number of meters. And then next, you're going to add the units of measurement in the photo on the right and when the meter became active. Now, this date just needs to match the start of your energy bills. So once you have your meter set up, in the next slide, you can start adding the date and the usage from your energy bills. There's two ways to do this. One is a manual entry. And with one building and only 12 months of energy data, that may not be too difficult. But you can use the Energy Star Excel spreadsheet to bulk upload those. And that's that link that the arrow is pointing to. Otherwise, Energy Star won't, oh, excuse me. But just a reminder that, if you have any gaps in your data, Energy Star won't give you the totals that you need for reporting. So just make sure to fill that out thoroughly. And this also means that you're going to want to keep up with this over the next 2 or more years, so that it's easier to submit your 12 and 24-month reports as well. But as we've been emphasizing, that's part of the point. If you can get comfortable with reporting and continue to do this even after you've completed the reporting requirement, you can learn a lot about your energy use and make decisions or changes about that kind of consumption in your building. Okay, so before we jump into step 4, which is running that progress and goals report, I'm just going to briefly run through entering energy data so that you can see it in action. So just pull that. All right, can you all see that screen okay?
Yes,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so this is the home screen for Energy Star. Now, as you can see, I have a few properties already set up. When you get to your property set up, that'll show up in the dashboard here. So I'm going to choose this property here, which doesn't have any energy data set up. And there's your kind of main tabs on the top, but then for each property, there'll be kind of these miniature tabs here. So I'm going to navigate to energy, and here we can see add a meter or enter your bills. Now, because I don't have any meter set up, even if I click enter my bills, it's still going to take me to add a meter. So just so you know what that looks like, it's going to have me set up a meter. So here is, again, that kind of list of all the different energy sources that your property might use. You'll select whatever makes sense for you. I'm going to keep this pretty simple and just choose electric, purchase from the grid. And there it shows me how many meters, I'm choosing. And I'm going to just select one, again, keeping this simple, and get started. Now you can click in, if you have a couple electric energy grid meters or electric grid meters, you can change the name so it'll be easier to distinguish between the two. But I'm just going to leave that as is for now. And the type of units that it's being measured in. So I'll choose kilowatt hours, and the date my meter became active, I'm going to choose the start of my energy bills, which will be January 1st, 2022, and this for our purposes here. And then here is where we start doing that kind of manual entry. So again, I'm going to do the start date for my bills, which will be January 1st, 2022. And Energy Star is kind of cool because it will auto-generate dates in there. So of course, change that as need. And I'm just going to start entering in some data here so that you can see, what 12 months of data will look like from kind of start to finish. And of course, the information that I'm going to put in here is not, going to be perfect data. It's baloney data. So, your numbers are going to probably look very different, even if you have kilowatt hours for your electric meter, if you have an electric meter. And again, if you have a lot of data and you want to do a bulk upload, there is that link at the bottom of this page that I showed you earlier, where you can just use the Excel sheet and upload any information for a meter that you'd like. And that makes that pretty quick. Okay. All right, so there's my baloney data. And here, this is asking me, does this meter account for the total energy consumption for this property? You have to select that it does for it to give you that energy use intensity number that we're asking for, that EUI. I suppose that if you were already had an Energy Star account set up and you were monitoring something that was separate, you would choose this. But again, if you want to get your EUI, it'll need to account for the energy consumption for that building. So now just to give you a view, I have my meter set up. And if I go to summary, it gives me some numbers that generated from that data. And that in a nutshell is really entering your energy data. I just wanted to get you an idea of what that looked like. So now I'll take you to that next step, which is looking at Energy Star Progress and Goals Portfolio Manager, or excuse me, Energy Star Portfolio Manager Progress and Goals Report. So in your account on the top of your screen, you should see these different tabs, and you're going to want to select the reporting tab, which is circled in red, and then you'll click Progress and Goals Report. That's going to take you to the Generate and Download Reports page. So just a few things to note here. Make sure that A, Progress and Goals Report is selected. B, select the property that you're generating this for. C will be select the phrase single year ending December 31st, 2022. And D, click Generate and Download Report. Now there's a chance that your browser might try to block downloads. It just depends on your browser settings. So just look for those signals and make sure to allow Energy Star to produce that download. When you open it up, you'll see a report like this. This again is the Progress and Goals Report. And you're going to look for those two values that we mentioned earlier, kind of outlined in red, which is the site EUI and total GHG emissions. If you do have more than one property, you're going to repeat this process and sum the EUI and GHG for your baseline. From there, you'll navigate to your Flux account and baseline report, add your narrative, type in those two values, and then upload the Progress and Goals Report. And if you have multiple buildings, you're going to upload a Progress and Goals Report for each building. So thanks for your attention. Now I can answer, or the team, we can all answer any questions that you have about Energy Star.
Thanks, Danielle. I just wanted to quickly add that on this Progress and Goals report, this NA is not you. That's not a problem that you've created. Energy Star does not have a museums category where typically if this was hospitals, a number would come up basically scoring you to benchmark against other entities of that same building type. That's actually a project ECP is working on to try to move forward, making museums an actual category, or if you're universities, there's a score that may come up. So I just wanted to say, if you receive this NA, it's not a you problem. It's within Energy Star Portfolio Manager. But yes, happy to move on and answer any questions that anyone may have before we go to next steps.
I see a question from Carlin. Will we report separately for multiple buildings on the same campus, even if they are billed to the same account? It's a good question.
I have a question about, I don't understand the question. If they're the same institutional account, but multiple bills, is that what you're saying? Just paper bills?
Carlin, feel free to follow up on that in the chat. Okay, so it's multiple buildings, same campus, one bill.
How about the meters?
Carlin, I just activated your mic if that's easier.
Oh, okay. All right, so reporting per meter. Okay. All right. So it sounds like we're cleared up on that, Carlin. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Let's see. I think I saw one from Jamie. What if some of our buildings have been vacant and there are no energy bills? Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, but I think that if those have been vacant, they're not collecting energy bills for those, they wouldn't need to report on those buildings. Yes?
Right.
Okay. And Jamie, you've also added, we're also located on a campus without separate meters for each building. So the bills are incorporated rather than actual. I think is that?
Or prorated.
Oh, prorated, excuse me. Sarah, can you respond to that one?
That might be the best that you can do. And to consider that part of the energy efficiency project would be a separate meter for your building so that you can manage your energy more effectively. So we will work with you to make sure that you can get that estimate in the best available, and that hopefully in your future, the building is metered individually.
Sarah, for timeline, and we understand limited bandwidth, I think once you identify where the data is coming from, I'm using the spreadsheet tool that Danielle shared that's in ESPM to do the bulk upload instead of kind of a one-on-one. Once you've entered the data, it goes pretty quickly. So we're happy, once you gather that data, to work on it together to help you through the first any of these. We might, if multiple organizations want additional help, we can always schedule an office hours time for us to help. So I think it's really the gathering of the data is probably going to be literally finding who receives the bills. We have found is actually the biggest obstacle. Once you have the data, it's pretty self-explanatory entering the data and running the report.
And then you'll be able to determine what kind of system works best in your office. Can you make sure that whoever pays the bills at that same time they're paying it sends you a copy? So that on a monthly basis, you can, just like you're doing bookkeeping for a grant, you're doing bookkeeping for the energy for this grant. And each month you tuck into Energy Star Portfolio Manager and put in that last monthly bill. By the time it's time to report again at the end of 12 months, all the data will already be there. So the start is harder than the continuation.
And we have had organizations find where their bills are going in not the spots that you would originally think. So if you need more ideas, let us know. But definitely, start with, executive directors, finance, and facilities. Those are the top three. But they might be going somewhere else, especially for some universities and other organizations that aren't single building.
Free, of course, to ask us any further questions. I know there might be several for this section.
And we also imagine this is, or know from experience, this is something once you begin, you might have additional questions. So again, you can reach out to us at our info@ box. You might have a question on a checkbox, etc. We do have a resource that we've put together, which is step-by-step, really how to set up, Energy Star, which is complimentary. And there's also great resources, frankly, that Energy Star has created, like a quick guide tutorial, that really just walk you through the process as well. So there's lots of resources. Again, we're happy to help. We know that there's going to be time up front. Again, as Sarah and Danielle have said, we're hoping that it's routine. And, as you move forward, you're able to learn something about your energy use. Right. Well, I'm going to go through the next steps, and then again, we'll open it up for questions. We do want everyone to get any questions that they have answered, and you can also reach out to us. So again, our next steps, just to reiterate, signing your grant agreement, reviewing the resources that we'll show on the next page that are also available on the website that we've provided, creating your account, gathering your data. Again, as Danielle and Sarah said, creating that accountability plan process of seeing who receives the bills, trying to do that on a regular cadence that works for your organization. and then ultimately submitting the baseline report. In the meantime, we'll be working on processing those grant agreements and dispersing funds. And again, thank you. Thank you to everyone. These are the resources. All of these resources are going to be found on this webpage, the reporting information page. All of the resources we've created will be on there. And these slides and this recording will also be posted. Great, so we'll just open it up for questions. We are finishing up pretty early, but want to give everyone the opportunity to ask any questions. I will stop sharing. And yeah, again, thank you, everyone. Yes, big congratulations to everyone as well. We're excited for all of you. Sure, Carlin. The new construction. For buildings, for the baseline, submitting that design piece here, let me go back to that slide and share. Hold on. Here we go. So for new buildings and construction, there is no building to be, gathering your data for 2022. So what we're asking is to see if you can get from your architectural design, your group that you're working with, to build the building, a site energy unit intensity and greenhouse gas emissions forecast. What is the estimate for when the building will be built for that first year? Value in collecting the data from the building that is being replaced. Interesting. Maybe we can, I know, Sarah, what do you think? I think it could be, and I think it depends on if the new building is being built to be more efficient, for increased efficiency.
I think you're demonstrating two awesome things here, Carlin, or at least you have the potential to. The
Yes.
difference between a 1972 building, which we did really badly for energy efficiency, compared to the design of your new one, and then through the design of your new one, the difference between what it's designed to operate as and what the reality is, and what you can learn from that design to implementation. So there are two comparisons there that are really valuable if you're willing to share them with us. We at least need how well the new building will perform based on design, but the comparison to 70 is very interesting.
I think one additional piece I do want to add is this, the reporting and information helps us also identify for opportunities for presentations, conferences, media inquiries, et cetera. So more information we're able, we have X amount that's been gathered from your applications to know what you're working on. But as you progress, additional information and, an interesting story like this is something we do want to showcase with the foundation, as well as outside to the field. So, this is information that will both be used to demonstrate the impact of this program and the Frankenthaler Foundation, but also to better communicate to the field examples of success and why this work is important. Nope, this asterisk is meant to go next to this for new building construction. I will update that. Thank you. The EUI and greenhouse gas emissions data points are the 2 points that for new buildings we're asking to collect. And then these are 2 values that Danielle highlighted are produced through that ESPM progress and goals report. So when that report is run, it produces those 2 data points as long as the data is correctly entered. And those are the 2 data points that we're looking for, in addition to a copy of the report. So those two, those are the 2 data points that we're mainly looking for. Sarah, does that answer your question? Great. Well, perfect. Well, we're happy to wrap up. We will linger here and answer any additional questions. We will add some of the questions that have been asked in the chat to an FAQ area, and those will be incorporated into our overall reporting instructions as well. So please check back on the website. We will email everyone when all of the resources are up, but the majority of them are on the website right now, just not the slides and presentation. So great. And thank you again, everyone, for your time, and congratulations.